How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Family. We are back with another FPL live stream here on Twitch with the Game Week 4 preview. We'll take a look at how we did in Game Week 3. We'll see what's ahead in Game Week 4. We'll take a look at our predictions as we normally do, our differential picks, all that sort of stuff. And we'll look ahead because I have 2 free transfers this week. And, still kind of don't know what to do with them. I have a general idea and we'll discuss those on stream. Maybe we'll do a kind of more in-depth of the transfers when it comes to my lineup preview, or maybe I would have done the transfers by then, because we'll look at price changes as well. We haven't done that all season, I believe. I think we maybe mentioned it briefly, but price changes are kind of important, and I think that we could be making a few interesting ways and kind of deviating potentially from the template, as it were. So we'll have to see how that one pans out. But the title of the stream, United passed Liverpool. Didn't think I'd be saying that coming on tonight, but a fantastic performance by Man United. Liverpool just don't look at the races, and maybe people might be getting cold feet about Trent, maybe cold feet about Robertson. We'll see. I have both of them in my team. Maybe Liverpool's defense just isn't what it's supposed to be right now when they don't have the likes of Thiago and Fabinho fully fit in the team and playing week in, week out. And maybe Konate and Matip bring a bit more sturdiness. But all of the things that we can discuss going forward on tonight's stream. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's turn off. So we gotta take the timer off, and we'll put on the socials. There's no deadline today, because that would be crazy. Deadline on a Monday immediately after a game, that'd be crazy. Mind you, we will be doing deadline streams probably on a Monday at some point where there's like Tuesday games to start. I think next week there's Tuesday games, but so yeah, we will be doing a deadline stream next week Monday, so a week today. Because I think there's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games for Game Week 5. Where's Game Week 6? I can't remember. But we'll check it out. Also, shout out to Zero Paparazzi Zero for following while we're offline as well. The paparazzi's following us. We got to make sure we're doing everything correct here. And we are doing everything correct at the moment. Another green arrow. Although, be it a small one, just as, a little 300k green arrow, which is pretty good. 53 points, not terrible. We got the 50-50 kind of wrong with the midfielder playing De Silva over Andreas Pereira, but all things considered, pretty good week for us. Perisic helped out with that. Salah with his goal contribution in the United game tonight. All things considered, though, if I hadn't have gotten that, we might have been staring down another potential kind of week where, even though I had Perisic, probably needed to get a bit more, because there's probably, managers that may have Pereira in their team, or there's some managers that maybe have, I don't know, Trippier coming off their bench, or whoever it might be. But this week for the big teams, apart from Arsenal, the defense just wasn't at it. I mean, Liverpool conceded 2, Trent got booked, 0 points, Cancelo conceded 2, or at least 2, they conceded 3 actually, but only got discredited for the 2 goals that he conceded initially and got booked, 0 points. Reece James conceded more than 2 goals, 1 point. Same with Robertson. Perisic was really the only one. So if you had double Chelsea, double Liverpool, single City, or any variation of that, your defense probably wasn't looking good. Unless you had some type of Arsenal defender in there, or Perisic, or somebody like that to help you out, or even Sanchez in goal. Martinelli, again, getting another attacking return for himself, doing really well. His price is shooting up drastically, already up to 6.4. I thought he was very cheap at the start. He's still barely, like, I would pay 7 million for Martinelli. Like, I think they may have made a mistake there. Potentially they thought that Smith Rowe was going to be like the kind of the context there, but nonetheless, we're going to keep him, obviously, because he's doing well. And even if Arsenal start to have, like, the bad fixtures, I think him in a, like, because he doesn't necessarily have to play in Europa League. They could just literally play Smith Rowe and use him as backup. But even when, like, they have Spurs, Liverpool, Leeds, and Man City, I think against those teams, maybe especially against Liverpool and City, they may not necessarily have as much of the ball, but Martinelli's a perfect player to hit teams on the break with. I mean, he's done it against Chelsea. He's done it at, like, looks or could do pretty much the exact same thing that Rashford did tonight versus Liverpool. And City, we've seen that's happened to them as well. I mean, St. Maximin and Wilson were very good on the weekend as well. And it's just kind of a blueprint, I guess. Kind of sit in, press high up the pitch, force City or Liverpool to make mistakes. If they were to make mistakes, Liverpool tonight obviously made more than what they're accustomed to. And see if you can get something off them. That's the only way. You have to be brave when you play against teams that are going to have a lot of the ball. It's hard work, but you still have to do it. Salah captain, 16 points, got himself a bonus point as well. I thought, all things considered, Salah was basically non-existent. The only time they talked about Salah in the game was when he was either kicking the ball out of play or somebody tried to pass it to him and it just didn't get there because Malacia was brilliant tonight. So I think, but Salah just does what Salah does, which is not be in the game all game and then get a goal. That's just what he does. He's just the FPL GOAT for the reason, that specific reason. He just scores when he's playing terribly. And then he's got Bournemouth at home next week, so that they could take the frustrations out on that game. And then they have Newcastle at home as well. They're going to want to get points on the board. These games are definitely going to be ones to do so. Everton, that's going to be a feisty game as well. They need to start picking up points because when they go into the Chelsea away, Man City at home, that's where it might be tough. Brighton is not an easy game either. Brighton have started off brilliantly as well. So I think that these next couple of games are really going to tell us what type of Liverpool team is going to continue on for this season. Are they going to be the team that takes City right to the wire, potentially wins it? Or are they going to be the team that just doesn't even challenge? Like the season when they just had the boatload of injuries and they kind of barely scraped third on the last day because the rest of the teams were just so bad that they managed to do so. But I digress on that. De Silva, again, disappointed with the 1 point, got himself booked. Thought he was going to get subbed early when I saw Jensen come off. I think it was Jensen. They were going to make an earlier substitution. I thought it was going to be De Silva who came off. So again, we played the wrong midfielder. Had we played Andreas Pereira, that would probably been better. But I went with the team that was playing better. I thought Brentford was playing better, coming off a very good win versus United. They looked very comfortable. De Silva was getting much higher up the pitch than he did in this game versus Fulham, so a bit unfortunate there. And we actually picked the worst out of the three, which is unfortunate. Haaland, again, wasn't very involved in the game for the most part, apart from some early, chances, and then he had that one chance which he put over the bar. But for the most part, City still need to learn how to play with Haaland, I think. But all things considered, again, not really too involved, and then scores a goal. Reinvigorates the team. They end up bringing it back to 3-0. Jesus was very influential in their 3-0 win. He could have potentially had more returns. Got booked. I think captainers will be very frustrated. Also, 81% owned. That is crazy town. So, yeah. Very, very crazy. But, I think you were a bit unfortunate if you did captain Jesus, getting the lowest out of the top three captains. Salah coming out on top, so we got the right captaincy choice there, all things considered. So, team did quite well. Very happy with it. Anytime you get about 50 points, typically that's... or you get about 50 points in a game week, that doesn't really, go the way things should probably go. Like, Liverpool, Chelsea, and City all... conceding 2 or more goals. That usually means it's probably a bad week or they had an off week or something. It doesn't happen very often, basically. So yeah, a pretty good week by that. Moving into our predictions, we have where is the tweet? There's the tweet. That was a tweet from last week's preview stream. So those were our predictions. Basically, the way we do the predictions here is if we get the exact score right, so had I predicted Spurs to win 1-0, I know I did not, but if I did, I would get 3 points. If I predicted at least the result right, so had I predicted Spurs to win, which I did, but I didn't get it by the right score, I still get 1 point. If I got the result wrong, so I predicted like Wolves to win or something, I would get 0 points. So last week we did really well. We got 11 points and 3 out of 5 on the differentials. What we like to do is get at least more than 50%. So we like to get at least 6 out of the 10 results right and see if we can get 1 correct score. That's kind of our benchmark to be, above average. for that. So hopefully we got a big marker with 11 points, because if you have the if you add up those points, so 5 games that were correct, and then the 6th game was worth 3 points. That's 8 points in total. So we were 3 points above that. So we're gonna have to see if we can beat that marker this week. Just bit my lip there. That wasn't pleasant. Right. Right. So we had Spurs versus Wolves, 1-0 with the Harry Kane goal, a flick on by Perisic. Got himself the clean sheet as well. He was fantastic and could be going up in price. We'll talk about the price changes when we get to our team and after we've done our predictions and stuff. So we get just the 1 point there. Crystal Palace ended up winning by a 2-goal scoreline, but they won 3-1. Palace looking very good. I think Villa are under the cosh now. Gerrard is under the cosh as well. So just 1 point there. Everton versus Forest, 1-1. We got it right. We got it right. So 3 points there for us. Brentford Fulham. Actually was quite disappointed with how Brentford played overall. Like, they had the spell in the second half where it was around like 20 to 30 minutes where they did like pretty well. But on the whole, I think Fulham really commanded the game. They were a bit loose at the back at times, and Brentford scored some pretty good goals. I think Fulham let them knock on the door basically for too long. So I was thinking, okay, 2-2, it's anyone's game here, and I thought, well, it's probably gonna be one of those games where maybe either team could score, but they end up not, and then Fulham come away with the win. Mitrovic getting the late goal, so we got that one wrong. Leicester Southampton. Leicester, again, another manager potentially in trouble, and Brendan Rodgers hasn't started off well and could be in trouble. I believe they played Chelsea away from home, which could be Chelsea's way of getting back after their poor result this week, but we'll get on to that in a second. So we got that one wrong. Arsenal versus Bournemouth. We guessed it right, 3-0. So 3 points there. Chelsea versus Leeds. We got 3-0. We got the score right. No, we didn't. We predicted the wrong team for 3-0. So, yeah. Unfortunately, got that one the wrong way around. Leeds got a pretty fortunate goal off of a Mendy mistake, and then looked to kind of just turn the screw. Jesse Marsh's team is very, very solid attacking-wise, and they seem to be causing teams a few issues. I'm not sure if they can keep Rodrigo in the same goal-scoring form that he's in currently. He seems to be linking up pretty well with Harrison. They still have, a very solid base in midfield from what I can tell. And the defense seems to be much more cohesive. It's not a bit sporadic like how it was under Bielsa at times. But we'll see. We'll see. Leeds are looking pretty good. And they got Brighton next week. Brighton are a bit of a strong team against Leeds, at least in the last 4 matches that they played. I think Brighton picking up 3 wins and a draw, I want to say, or 2 wins and 2 draws, I think was the stat I read. But yeah, we didn't get any points for that. Brighton versus West Ham. Thought West Ham would give it a little bit this week, but again, another disappointing result. David Moyes, 0 points, bottom of the table. Not looking great for them at the moment. So we got that one wrong. City versus Newcastle. I really thought City would get the win. They did not. Newcastle played very, very well. I think if you're going to St. James's Park, it is going to be a rough ride. And I think that could be an issue for any team this season, given that Newcastle. So Newcastle typically gives City a hard time. Last season aside, because Steve Bruce was managing. But all things considered, Newcastle tend to give City a good game at St. James's Park. City, we thought they're probably going to run away with the league, but that result shows that, hey, look, there are some teams that can upset the apple cart. So we got that one wrong. And then Man United versus Liverpool, we definitely got that one wrong. I'm going to predict United to lose 5-0 every game now, because if we play like that, we'll do well. So I might do that. So we got 1, 2, 5, 8 points. So we got bang on the nose. We got less than the half the results right, but we got 2 exact scores. So I'm okay with that, all things considered. Spurs clean sheet was good. Guaita in goal. I don't think Guaita saved any penalties or anything crazy like that. He got 4 saves, so yeah, just not enough to be a good differential, I don't think. So yeah, that was a bit unfortunate. On that pick, Rico Henry, I believe, got an assist for one other thing. No, that was on the disallowed goal. That's a bit unlucky there. Eze did play really well, but I don't believe he got in any of the returns. He did not. And neither did Roberto Firmino. So again, pretty poor on the differentials this week, 1 out of 5. Just a clean sheet pick, 0 for 4 on the differentials. So we would say this is probably a disappointing week for sure. Just writing it down because I'd like to keep it in the notepad for future references. Okie dokie. So that is done. Now let's bring up the notepad. I haven't written down any of the teams, unfortunately. So we're going to have to do this the manual way. All the games on the weekend this week. We'll be doing a Saturday deadline stream as we normally do. And there's a lot of games with a lot of teams going in on Saturday. So if I look at just the players that potentially play on Sunday for me, it looks like it might be 1 or 2. There's a lot of players playing on Saturday. So, it's going to be double Liverpool or double Chelsea defense, maybe 2 to 3 Liverpool players, maybe 2 to 3 City players, 2 to 3 Arsenal players, maybe a Leeds player, maybe Brighton's goalkeeper, maybe Raya for your team as well. There could be a lot of players. And then maybe on the Sunday, you're looking at maybe Neto if you still have him like myself, maybe a Spurs player or 2, maybe Dean Henderson in goal. Not much on the Sunday, so a lot of the points are going to come through on the Saturday. A lot of points. Southampton versus Man United up first, then Brentford versus Everton. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, so that's going to be a pretty good goal rush. For those that are watching on any of their broadcasting stations that do have a goal rush. Basically all it is like they have a feature game, which the feature game I think is probably going to be looking at it maybe City Palace. It might be Chelsea Leicester, but I think it's probably going to be City and Palace will be the goal rush game if I had to guess. They usually pick the most interesting game. And then basically what they do is they give you the notifications, they show you what happens in the other game. So if the team hits the post or there's a penalty or something like that, then they'll show you that as well, which is pretty cool. Then we got Aston Villa versus West Ham. We got Wolves versus Newcastle, and we got Nottingham Forest versus Tottenham. We got our clean sheet. We got our goalkeeper, we got our defender, we got our midfielder, and we got our forward. Yeah, so as an example, last week, the goal rush game was actually Everton Forest, which was weird. But the week before, it was City versus Bournemouth. Haaland's first home game. Just makes sense. So yeah, on game week 6, who's the goal rush game going to be? Probably Spurs versus Fulham, if I had to guess. Game week 7 will probably be Liverpool versus Wolves. They usually pick the best game. They're usually not bad. This week was kind of weird. I would expect them to probably have picked maybe Palace Villa. Might have been better, but yeah, it is what it is. Right, prediction time. So we're predicting United to lose 5-0 to Southampton. No, I'm joking, obviously. I think Southampton have been quite poor. I think if United press Southampton the way that they pressed Liverpool, I think if we keep the same back line as we did with Malacia, Dalot, Varane, and Lisandro Martinez, I see no issues why our defense can't be good. Casemiro's going to come into the team. He's going to be a good signing, although Glazer's out as always. But Casemiro is a fantastic signing. Did we pay a lot for him? Yes, we probably did. But at the end of the day, I don't think the Glazers care because it's not even their money. It's United's money, which is why the owners need to go. But that's a little bit of a rant for another day still. But we keep that campaign mainly over on Twitter. But yeah, I just don't think Southampton have been that good. I mean, they'll probably be energized by the fact that they got a win off of Leicester. But I think Leicester have been quite poor. I can see if United play the way that they did versus Liverpool, I don't see them conceding to Southampton. I think our defense, if we keep it like that, how we played versus Liverpool, then I don't see us conceding to Southampton. I think we could win the game. We just need to be much more clinical up front. I'm going to go with 2-0. I think United's season might kick on a little bit from here. that may it's the early kickoff. Anything can happen. So we'll have to wait and see. And we've been really bad away from home. I think we've lost 7 away games in a row or something stupid like that. So that could be a bit of a problem that needs to be solved quite quickly. Moving into the 3 p.m. kickoffs, UK time, Brentford, Everton. I think Brentford will bounce back. They're at home. And I think Everton don't have the goodness in crowd because they're not at home. And I think Brentford will win. Brentford will probably keep a clean sheet. I see Brentford winning by 2-0. Brighton versus Leeds. I think Brighton have been a very good team versus Leeds. I think Leeds' attack is better. I'm still going to give Brighton the win. I'm going to go 2-1. I think that one's going to be quite close, though. Chelsea versus Leicester. I think Leicester are just bad. Potentially, because Fofana's already in the Premier League, if he does end up officially signing for Chelsea, which it looks like it's going to be done, Fofana could be playing his first game for Chelsea against Leicester, which would be crazy. I think they also need him as well because Koulibaly got sent off. So, that being said, I think Chelsea would have too much quality for Leicester. I think Leicester's defense is probably not good enough. I can still see Leicester scoring, though. I think Chelsea are a bit still a bit unsettled. And, anything can happen with, like, Maddison or Vardy. They are match winners. I think Chelsea are going to win the game. I'm going to go with 3-1 because Leicester tend to concede quite a few goals, actually. Liverpool versus Bournemouth. I think Liverpool bounce back. I do think Bournemouth will get a goal, though. I think they're, like, against Arsenal. Arsenal suffocated them from minute 1. We can see that that's Arsenal's best 11. Liverpool still have quite a few injuries at the moment. So maybe Bournemouth nick one, but I think Liverpool will just fight fire with fire. And their fire is going to be bigger and better. And they're going to be using a flamethrower effectively versus a lighter. So I think that they will win. It's probably a bad analogy, but yeah. Man City versus Crystal Palace. This could be a tough game because I think Palace are playing quite well. I think Zaha showed what he could do versus Liverpool, and he could do the exact same versus Man City. However, I think City will realize that what Newcastle were able to kind of do in midfield and dominate the ball. They overloaded it in there, basically causing the likes of De Bruyne and Rodri and Gundogan to at times kind of remove the ball off them forcefully. And I think Newcastle were very good at that. Crystal Palace, I'm not sure if they have that same strength, like a Bruno Guimaraes in there, or just a constant engine in Joe Linton, who's turned into this ridiculous battering ram of a player. I think Palace will give a good fight. I still think ultimately City will win the game. I'm going to go with a hard-fought 2-1 for Man City. Arsenal versus Fulham. I think Fulham showed that they will concede goals. I think Arsenal will pretty much do the same thing they did to Bournemouth. I'm going to go with a 3-0. Aston Villa versus West Ham. I mean, two teams that are just not playing well at the moment. I think both teams can score a goal. I don't think both teams will keep a clean sheet, or it could be one of the situations where both teams' attacks are so bad that it just ends up being a 0-0. I think Villa will want to play on the front foot, being at home. That may suit West Ham. And it could be a situation where West Ham just nick one on the break. I think both teams are in bad form, so when I don't know who's going to win out of two teams in bad form, I just go with a 1-1. So, apologies for the cop-out. Wolves versus Newcastle. I think this is actually an interesting one. I think Wolves will be stronger at home this season. I think that they had a disappointing result versus Leeds. I think that, with last week's, narrow result where they could have potentially had chances to win the game, they'll always be in it. I think Newcastle will definitely score. Will Newcastle win versus Wolves away from home? I think the St. James's crowd definitely helps them quite a lot. It's a tough one to call. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Newcastle win, actually. I'm going to go with Newcastle just scraping it 2-1. It's going to be even closer. I think that's probably going to be the closest game, potentially, out of all the games here. And then Forest versus Spurs. Spurs are looking very, very good. Again, I still think that against teams that kind of sit back, they tend to struggle still a little bit, and they need to invite teams onto them in order for them to get themselves a goal, or generate something fantastically from a set piece, which I think they do have the capability of doing now, especially with the likes of Perisic, who is capable of not only winning headers on set pieces, but also taking a corner with both feet from both sides of the pitch, which is interesting. They still need to find some consistency out of Son and Kane, I think. Kane is looking like he's starting to get his engine going. Son still seems to be a bit off the pace a little bit. There's a lot of times where he seems to shoot when he shouldn't and pass when he should shoot, and all sorts there. That being said, though, I still think Spurs win the game. I still think they keep a clean sheet. I'm going to go with a comfortable Spurs 2-0 win. H. Jones says, wow, Liverpool defensively look completely all over the place. They do. They definitely do. I think that's potentially down to the fact that the midfield in front of them, because so a lot of misinterpretation of, a defense looks bad is like people pin it, it's on the center back, so it's on the full back, so it's on the back four. Most of the time, it's actually on the midfield. Generally speaking, yes, you'll have times where center backs will make terrible decisions, or they'll keep a guy on side. So, those sorts of things will happen. But for the most part, sometimes it's generally just the midfield. Like Liverpool today, the intensity in the press in the midfield just wasn't there, I think. I think that Chelsea, like Jones just says there in the chat, was with no Conte and Kovacic, just no control over the midfield. Or when they did press, it wasn't with the same intensity. And when they did get the ball, they weren't able to progress it to the front men in such a way to where they could create chances. With United today, they pressed so well that basically the back line wasn't able to get good passes into the midfielders, and then they would have to make rush decisions to try to play it into the front men, who couldn't ultimately control the ball, and then it would be taken off them by the likes of a Malacia or Delot, who were brilliant today as well. Still think Delot was a bit rough at times. Malacia, again, bit green around the ears, as it were, rough around the edges, whatever you want to call it, raw talent. All those sorts of things, I guess, are kind of the same thing. But again, very, very aggressive. That's what Ten Hag wanted them to do. And Chelsea Leeds, from what I saw, was pretty much the same way. Leeds really went at them. Chelsea make mistakes, because Jorginho, as an example, would take too long on the ball. I can't remember if he played, but it just seems like defensively, when you try to play a ball into the midfield and they can't retain the ball and they lose it in a dangerous area, that sort of press can work. It works really, really well. And that's how Man United got their second goal. Jordan Henderson lost control of the ball, taken off by Martial, plays in Rashford, goal. Pretty simple. Although it was very close. Very, very close. Which was actually, I thought it was offside. So, yeah, Jorginho played. I assume he did, because they just, they probably played Conor Gallagher out of just with Jorginho, because I saw the Gallagher play, because I saw the early chance that Sterling had, because Gallagher played him through. But yeah, that can happen. That definitely can happen. Not making any excuses or anything, but when you don't have a midfield that's on the same page and communicating with the two lines, the front line and the line of defense, or able to create that intensity to generate the flow of the game that you want, you struggle. That's what happens. You just struggle. And I thought United's intensity, especially from the front, and the positional awareness and the structure that the back line had, showed through the whole team, basically. Which is funny, because this is the first time that we've played Varane and Lisandro Martinez together. We play Malacia and Delot, who are actually pretty good on the ball, and good at overlapping and doing what Ten Hag wants to do ultimately. And guess what? United defended well. Obviously, they did concede a goal, but the best players on the pitch were the back four, pretty much. Yes, Rashford scored very well. Fantastic goal. Great for his confidence. Played really, really good. Pressed high up the pitch. Definitely caused Liverpool problems. Same with Jadon Sancho. Alanga was definitely fantastic in the 45 minutes that he played. Him and Malacia made it Salah and Trent's just nightmare. They just could not do anything. But the back four was brilliant. H. Jones says, I'm very surprised Newcastle so far. Possible top 6. They look very solid all over the pitch. This isn't a surprise to me, to be honest, with Newcastle. I can't remember where I predicted them. I think I might have predicted them 8th, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. But I think that Newcastle can cause a few upsets. I'm not sure about their away from home record. I think that's where they might, maybe let themselves down. Like, if we look, first game of the season, Nottingham Forest, 2-0. Very comfortable. They made Nottingham Forest look pretty bad. Away to Brighton, 0-0, probably a disappointing result. Brighton apparently played really well, except from scoring a goal. At home to City, fantastic draw. Let's see how they do this week. Away to Wolves, tough game. Very, very tough game. And they're away at Anfield. These are the 2 games where they might struggle a bit, and we'll see what they're made of. And they're probably happy that Trippier didn't get sent off. I didn't think it was a red either on that front. Clean sheet for this week. I'm going to go with... Who am I going to go with? I'm actually going to go with... I'm going to go with Brentford. I think Brentford keep a clean sheet versus Everton. I was going to go Arsenal, but that's probably a bit of a cop-out. Goalkeeper. Who's going to be a differential goalkeeper this week? I mean, this may sound pretty crazy. Oh, he's 5.2%. We'll go with him anyway. Let's go with Big Dave. 5.2%. Close enough to 5%. We'll go with Big Dave. H. Jones says, if Broya is fit, he has to start versus Leicester. Havertz needs to be dropped. I agree. 100% with that. I think that with the delivery of Cucurella or Chilwell and Reece James, if you have Gallagher pulling the strings potentially in midfield instead of Kovacic there, and you have Sterling who can drop a shoulder and put in a good delivery. Mason Mount's also pretty good, although very absent, to be honest, in the first 3 games. And I think that's due to the fact that he's being asked to do all these different things and not really mastering any of them, which is also a reason why I think he's not been great for England either, for the most part. But Broya is the big dude that you want to whip the ball into. That's like if Ronaldo had gone to Chelsea, Ronaldo could have literally just sat on their center back and Chelsea would have just had guys whip the ball into him because they can actually cross the ball, and he would have scored a bazillion goals. So yeah, I think Broya definitely needs to play. Havertz, again, doesn't really have a position that suits, where he wants to play. Like, he wants to play in the number 10. Chelsea don't really play a number 10. They don't have a 2-split striker system. Like, if Broya and Sterling were playing like up top together as a pair in a 3-5-2, cool, fine, that makes sense. You could be a bit more aggressive in midfield. Maybe you put Mount if you had Kante fit. That's where I think Mount could be quite good. In more of a harrying, pressing, box-to-box midfielder that can create a little bit. Because I think that's one of his better attributes, is actually like his ability to get about the pitch and cause havoc, basically. I don't see him as this masterful, creative player, and I don't see him being a very good player off wide. H. Jones says, Aubameyang has agreed personal terms with Chelsea, but I don't know if the deal will be done for the weekend, possibly the weekend after. The thing is, I don't think Aubameyang is the type of player that Chelsea need. Aubameyang is a guy who wants to play the ball in behind. Aubameyang wants the ball in behind. Aubameyang's never going to sit there and take the ball with his back to goal and then lay it off to somebody. That's why I thought Lukaku was going to be good, because he learned that in Serie A. I think Broya definitely could be that. I think Aubameyang could become the alternative option. The one where it's like, hey, look, we're going to be under the cosh. City's going to have most of the ball. Then we need Aubameyang in behind for his pace. That's why I'm not convinced on Aubameyang. Plus, Tuchel, yeah, he has a good relationship with Aubameyang, but also Aubameyang's not the most, player that's going to help the dressing room, as it were. We saw with his time at Arsenal, there's times he just kind of couldn't be bothered. But yeah, that's a bit of a different situation there. In defense, who am I going to go with in defense? Let's see. I'm trying to think of some defenders that potentially could be good here. Let's go with... I think I have one. I'm not sure if he's 5% or less, though. Don't think he played particularly well from the start. But I think John Stones, if Ake's out, could be a very good differential at 2.1%. 5.4 million has already gone down in price and could recover because I think Diaz and Stones, when they played together, was very good. So I think they could definitely better that partnership. However, the only issue is Pep likes kind of like that left footer. So I'm not sure the status on Laporte. I think he's not back for another couple weeks at a bare minimum. So, but I think Stones is their only other center back, so they have to kind of play him. It's only for the one season, though. Oh, for Aubameyang? Yeah, well then maybe it's just an experimental thing. Potentially. We'll see. But, I mean, Aubameyang scored like 11 goals in 14 games for Barca, so I'm not sure they should let him go, to be honest. Although they do have Lewandowski, so. But, yeah. Midfield. Differential midfielder for this week. A player that I'm actually looking to potentially transfer in. It's Ilkay Gundogan. I think he is brilliant. I think he's so good. I think with his positional play, with Haaland in the team, Haaland attracts so many eyes that Gundogan is the perfect player to play with him from central midfield, making those deep runs. And the reason being is because everyone goes, ooh, look, there's Erling Haaland, we need to follow him. And Gundogan goes, whoop, in and around the back, and he gets the tap-ins. That's what he wants to do. So I think Gundogan is a potentially fantastic pick. And could be our third City player that we're looking for if you aren't on Triple City already. Forwards for this week. This could be a bit of a tough one. I'm trying to think of any that come to mind. If I knew Broyo was fit, potentially I would go for him. I think I picked him early on in the season. Let's see. What is Danny Welbeck? He's been in good form. 14 points on the season, earning 1.5% on. He looks to be ticking along nicely. I think Danny Welbeck could be a good option for this week versus Leeds at home. Yeah, let's go with Danny Welbeck, the best academy product from Man United this season so far, based on performances. I'm joking, obviously. I mean, I wasn't joking before the game tonight, but yeah, Danny Welbeck could be an interesting buy this season. So yeah, those are going to be our prediction and differential picks. So yeah, we'll post those over on Twitter after the stream. So let's minimize that. Get that off the screen. There we go. And we'll move into the team. But before we do that, let's talk about price changes. So I'm going to refresh them. For those that are wondering about price changes, I go on FPL statistics. If you just type in FPL price changes, these sites will come up. But basically what they are is they're algorithms that kind of predict what players are potentially going to go up in price. So these are just estimates. So again, take them with a pinch of salt. So Perisic is potentially going to go back up tonight. Trippier, De Bruyne, Wilfried Zaha, Gabriel Jesus, which is crazy, considering he's at 82% or whatever it is. And Gundogan with Mitrovic and Nico Williams being fairly close, as well as Dean Henderson. Moving on to the players that potentially could be going down in price. We have Iverson, the 4 million goalkeeper from Leicester. We have Riyad Mahrez. We have Zidane Iqbal. We have Hwang. We have Pablo Fornals. We have Ahmed Diallo. We have Anama, I think is how you pronounce it, from Fulham. We have Scamacca. That's probably a one to watch if he starts getting regular minutes. Jesse Lingard. We have Christian Romero, who is currently injured. We have Colback, for those that have him as a midfield spot in their team. He could be going down. Callum Hudson-Odoi. We have Thomas Soucek, Yves Bissouma, Diallo from Southampton, Cafu, not the Brazilian Cafu from Nottingham Forest. I don't know if this Cafu is Brazilian, I'm not sure. But Palmer, from Man City. Christian Pulisic could be interesting at 5.8 million if he gets a move somewhere, potentially, or starts getting regular game time. Manuel Lanzini, Sarr of Spurs, Archer of Nottingham Forest, Jacob Murphy from Newcastle, Ortega. That could be interesting because if he ever comes in for Ederson, we could have a 3.9 million goalkeeper. He does go down if Ederson were to get injured for a significant period of time. Giabi, Ross Barkley, Kundl, Jan Benderek, Ryan Fraser, Delap from Man City, Tarek Lamptey, Strakosha from Brentford, Brandon Williams from Man United. So this is long. Raheem Sterling, Mark Gehi, or Gay, I think is how he pronounced it in the video that Crystal Palace did, which was hilarious, by the way. You should go check that out, where they pronounce all their names, sorry. Callum Chambers, Coventry from West Ham, Said Benrahma, McCarthy from Southampton, Mendy, the Leicester defensive midfielder, Austin Edward of Crystal Palace, Kepa Arrizabalaga from Chelsea, Cook from Bournemouth, and Andre Gomez, with Stuart Armstrong, Stevens from Southampton, Sambi Lakonga, Ogbonna, Wilson Esbrand, Dele Alli, Ampadu, and Johnny all being quite close. So that was a very, very long list. But the notable ones is the ones going up. Perisic potentially going back up. Trippier, I think, has been brilliant for Newcastle. De Bruyne could be going up, getting, that extra value for those that have gone for him since he was 12 million. Wilfred Zaha could be going up to 7.1. Jesus could be getting his first bit of value for those that started with him at the beginning of the season. And Ilkay Gundogan could be going up to 7.6 million. So, again, those are all estimates. So make sure to take them with a pinch of salt. So yeah, very, very interesting one there. Let's move into how the team looks currently. So, Pascal Gross from Brighton is up to 5.7. Yeah, he's gone up a couple times as well. There will be a few players that have gone up. Like Martinelli's gone up 4 times, which is I think the most out of any player so far. He's just been doing well. Goal, assist, just very steady. He's just like the clear and obvious 6 million option. So yeah, this is the team currently. So we got Ramsdale in goal. We have Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andy Robertson versus Bournemouth. We have Reece James versus Leicester. We have Ivan Perisic versus Nottingham Forest. We have João Cancelo versus Crystal Palace. We have Salah captain currently versus Bournemouth at home. We have Martinelli versus Fulham at home. Neto over De Silva in this instance versus Newcastle at home. Jesus with the vice captaincy versus Fulham at home. Erling Haaland versus Crystal Palace at home as well. We got De Silva, Pereira or Andreas, and Archer as our 3 on the bench. Now, would I change anything? I think the only consideration may be De Silva for Neto, but I think Neto, we got to give him at least these. I think these 3 fixtures are fair for Neto, unless I was going to do something to where I potentially need the funds. I'm trying to think, could I do... So I have 0.5 million in the bank. If I got rid of Robertson, so this is going to be our transfer kind of experiment here. So I kind of want Gundogan, and I think that maybe De Silva, yes, he's 4.6 million, and we have some value in him. Andres Pereira has been a fantastic bench option and one probably we'll keep for the season. If we get rid of De Silva, can we get in Gundogan and like a Nico Williams? We can, which is actually good to see. If I were to get rid of Neto instead, who could I get in defense? We would be able to get an additional 0.9 on top of that. So instead of, if we got rid of Neto, so let's say we kept De Silva, and we got Gundogan in for Neto, we could go up to a 5.3 million defender. Trippier, I think, is a very good option. He has just Liverpool. In his home fit, like his, Wolves don't typically score very many goals. Liverpool could be, right now he could be brilliant versus Liverpool. But Crystal Palace at home, Bournemouth at home, Brentford at home, they have a very, very good run, and I think Trippier might be one to get on. He is also one of the players that potentially is going up in price. I did want to start, one of the things I considered was starting with Trippier instead of Perisic, and then do the move in game week 3, which I didn't end up. What was my transfer in game week 3? Nothing, because I have 2 free transfers. And going into game week 2, my transfer was to get rid of Kane for Haaland. So yeah, I think maybe that's what we potentially could go for if I wanted Trippier, as an example. And that would be pretty good, all things considered. H. Jones says Robertson for Cucurella. Cucurella is another option as well. Chelsea's fixtures are really good. And I think that Cucurella is going to be one to be fairly consistent in the team. But does he offer the same kind of threat that Trippier does? These scores are pretty good. 2 clean sheets versus teams that don't score very many goals. Well, no, Forest was an unknown in game week 1. But versus City, he's on set pieces as well, Trippier. So, and Newcastle just look really solid. Whereas Chelsea, there's a bit of not too sure at the moment. And if we're looking to wildcard, let's say we're looking to wildcard, game week 7, maybe after game week 8. Trippier's got Bournemouth, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, and Wolves. Whereas Reece James has Liverpool and West Ham and Leicester in those, which could be tricky. Fulham and Southampton are both away fixtures. So, whereas after the fact probably is, probably better for Chelsea, all things considered. But I think Chelsea's defense is still a bit kind of up in the air at the moment. They already kept the 1 clean sheet versus Everton. They got smashed by Leeds. They, probably should have won the game, maybe. I thought Spurs played much better than a lot of the pundits and stuff gave him credit for. Cucurella, he's already 5.1 as well. Will he go up any more? I'm not too sure. Do I necessarily need double Chelsea defense? Maybe not at the moment. Trippier is the higher owned player. I just think Newcastle across these fixtures, he could be pretty solid, to be honest. In the games where, Liverpool away, am I going to play Trippier in this fixture? Probably, to be honest. Man United away, Spurs away in 11 and 13. What does Pereira play in 11 and 13? He plays Bournemouth at home and Leeds away, so we'll probably play Pereira in those. And we could potentially play Pereira at Brighton at home in game week 5 if we don't want to play Trippier versus Liverpool. So I think there's good cover there. Maybe that's the transfers that I do. And then it looks pretty good. I really don't like getting rid of Robertson before Bournemouth at home. I really don't like that. That could end up backfiring, potentially. But Chelsea away, Wolves at home, Everton away, Newcastle at home, Bournemouth at home. So Liverpool have Bournemouth, good fixture. Everton, good fixture. And then the other 3 are probably quite tough. Whereas Trippier has Wolves, which is tough. Obviously Liverpool is going to be tough. Crystal Palace, West Ham, and Bournemouth. 2 of which of these are at home. I think Trippier can do well in those, personally. I think it's very close, but I obviously have to have the fun somewhere. And then Neto, his next 3 fixtures are quite good, and I'll probably do well after I get rid of him. But Gundogan has just been playing so well. Crystal Palace at home, Forest at home. Then he's got Villa, who's been bad. Spurs, again, it's kind of a wait and see. Will Gundogan play in the Champions League? Again, not too sure. Can always downgrade him to Zaha as an example if we see him get rotated a bit too much, because we have the money to kind of do that. But yeah, I think I like these transfers. I'll have to think it over a little bit more before the price change potentially happen. But I like these a lot. I like these quite a lot. So I'll have to think about them off stream for a little bit because they are quite tempting. And I kind of want to be in a situation where I'm getting ahead of the curve. I like Gundogan as a player. The amount of space that I saw him getting in the for City was very good. Do I see him being dropped for anyone in the midfield? No, because I think if Haaland plays, Gundogan plays. And versus Crystal Palace at home, in the 2 home fixtures, I think Pep's going to want his best team. City do play a midweek fixture, so against Barcelona in a few days' time. Am I taking a risk with that? Yes. But I think that 0.1 might be worth the risk. I think it might be worth the risk. If we have to take a -4 to get rid of Gundogan again, we can always go down to somebody. So yeah, but again, I'll have to think about them off. I'll have to think about it off stream, and think about it and see how it goes. But for now, this is the team: Ramsdale, Trent, Robertson, who could be on the chopping block, even though Bournemouth at home, I kind of want to keep him for that. James, Perisic, Cancelo, Salah currently with the captaincy, Martinelli, Neto, who could be on the chopping block, Jesus and Haaland, with Ward as the backup goalkeeper, De Silva, Andreas, and Archer as the subs 1, 2, and 3. So, I think that's going to do it for us for the preview stream. Slightly shorter than before, than what we normally do. But I think we covered all the topics quite comfortably. And we had some great stuff in the chat as well. Got through some of those questions as well. And yeah, I think it's potentially going to be a good game week. It's a lot of home fixtures this week for the good team. So usually that means a good game week, right? We'll have to wait and see. But before we sign off, let's take a look at Fantasy Football Scout. So, Fantasy Football Scout is a fantastic members area. I believe that their discount offer, so ignore the top part of the graphic, has expired. I think I need to get the new graphic. I haven't got it yet. But the members area is still fantastic. You can go check it out. You don't gain anything by getting the discount apart from paying less. But yeah, make sure to check it out. We'll be using it in all of our videos this season, as well as on the deadline stream to pick captains and that sort of stuff. And it is actually an interesting one this week for the captaincy, so maybe we'll run it back and do another captaincy video as well this week. So Haaland, Jesus, and Salah all have very good, tasty home fixtures, and even Spurs could be an interesting shout as well. So we'll take a look at all of those options potentially on the video. That'll come out Wednesday if we decide to do that. But yeah, that's going to have a bunch of stuff in the Fantasy Football Scout members area. Make sure to check out the link down in the About section if you're watching this on Twitch. If you're watching this over on YouTube, this is the VOD for all of our streams from Twitch. But it'll be in the description below. You can also check out my Twitter bio. It's over there as well. It's going to help elevate your FPL game. It's a fantastic place to get caught up on all your stats as well. Now, let's move over to the big screen. So, thank you all for watching. Just happy that United could actually play good football for once. Yeah, it was a bit defensive and kind of inviting pressure in the second half. But all things considered, I think that's kind of how you had to play it. It was very high intensity, very aggressive in the press. I thought it was quite good. And to top it all off, we got a pretty decent green arrow. And we're looking good. Going forward, team's looking good as well. Looking to make 2 free transfers to go a bit more aggressive and see if we can push the kind of a template a little bit and see if we can fight against it in that sense. So thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.